Long, long ago, something very interesting happened. Pay attention, for what happened a long time ago will happen here and now. A group of men and women rode on their horses, climbing a steep mountain on a dark night. From the sky came a voice: "Dismount your horses, pick up rocks and fill your bags, then mount again and continue the journey. Tomorrow morning you will be happy and sad at the same time." Some dismounted from their horses. Others did not. Some took many rocks, others few, put them in their bags, mounted again, and continued the journey. When daylight came, as the voice had said, they were happy and sad at the same time. Happy because in the light of day, when they looked into their bags, they saw they were not rocks but diamonds, and sad because they did not take more. I hope that as we finish this video, you feel happy and sad. I am here today to show you the true path of diamonds, hoping you will be happy for taking some diamonds and sad for not taking more. So, shall we make a deal? Let's make these minutes of video the best we can. So disconnect from everything and connect exclusively to this video. And to show your interest, type like this: "I will pick many diamonds." Just comment, "I will pick several diamonds." When I see this comment, I'll give you a heart because I know you're someone who truly focuses on what you do, and that's why you'll become rich. Now that you've commented, let's continue. I want to start our study with a very important phrase. Please jot this down if possible. Never let what you can't do interfere with what you can do. The main reason for this video is to renew your hope. This is crucial because we begin to lose life when our memories become stronger than our aspirations. When someone starts talking about the past, saying "I did," "I was," it's a sign that person is bidding farewell to life. Therefore, by renewing your hope, you realize you can set new goals and dreams. Now I have a challenge for you watching. I would like you to think about the 3 most important things that have happened in your life so far, from the day you were born until now, the 3 significant and good moments. If you had to choose 3 moments to represent your life on this planet Earth, as the French Jesuit theologian Pierre Teilhard de Chardin said, "We are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. We are here on earth to experience the human experience. We have good and bad moments. It's no wonder we are born crying because we know the challenges we will face in life. This planet is not a paradise. If someone expects to be happy 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, they are in the wrong place. Here we have moments of happiness and moments that are not so happy. It's part of the journey. It's like a roller coaster. In difficult times, we know they won't last forever. They will improve. And in good times, we also know they won't be eternal. They will worsen. Understanding this roller coaster concept can be helpful. So back to the challenge, think about 3 special moments in your life, significant from birth until today. Choose 1, 2, 3 moments. I'll assume you already have these 3 moments in mind. I know one thing, at least 2 of these significant moments were not planned. Maybe the day you had children, built a family, or the day you met your husband or wife. You didn't wake up one day thinking, "Today I will meet someone I will fall in love with and marry," did you? On a day you didn't plan, you met someone somewhere, talked to that person, formed friendships, and later fell in love and got married. When you look at your life, you realize that magical moments were not planned. You were doing something ordinary, and suddenly something extraordinary happened. These are the moments we call miracles, although we don't always recognize them as such. For example, you go to the supermarket to buy a kilo of sugar, and while waiting in line, someone starts a conversation, and you end up receiving a tip that results in a great financial success, like earning $1 million. You went to the supermarket for a simple reason and come out with an idea that can change your life. However, this idea will only materialize if you keep hope in your heart that things will work out. If you expect the worst, it's better not to start, because you probably won't succeed. As Henry Ford said, "Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right." If you believe you can, you will work for it to happen and eventually achieve your goals. But if you believe you can't, you'll be paralyzed, and everything you said badly will happen. Just as a cake requires various ingredients, life also needs several elements to be fulfilling. One of these essential ingredients is the ability to communicate and dialogue. However, the first ingredient, I would say, is the respect you have for yourself, your self-image, and how much you value yourself. No one can give what they don't possess. You cannot offer love to others if you do not love yourself. You cannot offer intelligence to others if you do not possess it for yourself. And you cannot offer communication to others if you do not communicate with yourself. Therefore, the first thing God expects from us is that we have self-love, that we respect ourselves. This is called self-esteem. It's how we see ourselves. And here's some good news. Self-esteem and self-image are not material like cement or steel. They are built through language. No one is doomed to remain as they have always been. I repeat, no one is doomed to remain as they have always been. We are the only beings on planet Earth with the ability to transcend. And do you know what transcending means? It means starting over. No matter what happened in your childhood, no matter the suffering, until today, your past was a necessary step to get here. Your future is an opportunity to go wherever you want. But if you don't realize this, your future will be just a repetition of past patterns. What patterns in your family would you like to change? Because just like any other, your family is not perfect. To become a doctor, you need to study medicine. To be a lawyer, you need to study law and pass the bar exam. To be a journalist, you need to study journalism. But to be a father and mother, the basics are enough. To have sexual relations, and children are born. So, parents, for the most part, are not prepared to be parents. They learn from their children's mistakes, just as their parents erred with them, their parents erred with them, and you erred with your children. That's the dynamics of life. Don't blame yourself for it. It's simply how life works. We learn from our mistakes. With the second child, we make fewer mistakes. With the third, even fewer if we reflect on what we're doing wrong. The second essential ingredient in life is communication. In the agricultural era, the landowners ruled the world, and their power was lifelong. In the industrial era, those with money dominated. But today, my friends, the currency has changed, and many haven't realized it. Now, the currency is knowledge. You can be rich or poor in knowledge. However, knowledge only holds value when applied, when shared from one mind to another, and this is done through dialogue, through communication. Therefore, for the young ones watching this video, communication has become crucial for both personal and professional success. It's part of human nature to evolve. You'll never find someone saying, "I'm going to ask God for something to make my life a bit worse, because it's too good." I believe the Creator has never heard such a request from someone watching this video, saying life is too good and wanting a bit of difficulty. But difficulties come to make us stronger. It's part of human nature to grow, to evolve. Just like someone climbing a mountain in search of the summit, you, young ones, will see this in life. You'll reach your goals, attend college, find jobs, get promoted, start your own businesses. That's part of it. As you progress in life, perhaps the most important ingredient is dialogue, the ability to communicate, to express yourself, to understand others. Of course, I'll present to you a dialogue model I developed. It's something innovative that you probably won't find elsewhere. Let me explain the concept first. If I give you a pearl now, you'll probably keep it in your pocket. If I give you a second pearl next week, you'll also keep it. And if I give you a third and last pearl in 15 days, you'll also keep it. If we meet again in 6 months and I ask about the pearls, you'll probably respond something like this. The first one I put on the nightstand, but someone who was cleaning didn't notice and threw it away. The second one I forgot in my pants pocket, which got washed, and the pearl got lost. And the third one I kept so well that I ended up forgetting where. Have you ever hidden something from yourself, kept it so well that you couldn't find it later? That happens to us. Now imagine if I gave you those pearls and a nylon thread and instructed you to make a necklace with them and wear it around your neck. If we meet again in 6 months and I ask about the pearls, you'll know where they are. You'll say, "They're here. I turned the pearls into a necklace." My friends, the pearls represent ideas. The world is full of people who had good ideas and didn't materialize them, or worse, had their lives ruined by them. Did you know that a good idea can ruin a family or a company? That's because more important than the idea is having a model to ensure its execution. If you know someone with a good business model, whether in Sao Paulo, Tokyo, New York, or in Manila in the Philippines, or anywhere in the world, that person will succeed in business because they have a solid model. So let's put together the dialogue model. Communication has 3 levels. The first is mouth to ear, the second, brain to brain, and the third is called heart to heart. Before proceeding, it's important to make a distinction. Hearing and listening are not the same thing. We hear with our ears, but we listen with our brains. Have you ever been to a restaurant and ordered sparkling water, but the waiter brought still water? You made a request, they brought something else. At that moment, the waiter was operating at level 1. At this level, no one gets promoted. You don't win people over and you don't progress in life. No matter how high your grades were in school, because school provides information, but life requires competency to act. Imagine yourself in Guarulhos, ready to board a flight to Sao Paulo, New York. If the pilot said, "I'm not a pilot, but I have a lot of opinions and have read many books about flying a plane," would you stay on the aircraft? No, you want to know if he has the competence to fly and land safely in New York. Life demands competency to act, because what's on the test isn't necessarily what applies in life. Look around your city and you'll find people who were brilliant in school but are now lost in life. On the other hand, you'll find those who were mediocre students but are now excellent entrepreneurs, contributing to the community. Why? Because they know how to dialogue with the world, with society, and they've intuitively learned the power of communication. So if you'll allow me, I'll start working on this model, starting with level 1, mouth to ear, then level 2, brain, and finally level 3, heart. Before proceeding, I want to assert, we only reach people's hearts by going through their brains. There's no other way. It's easy to like those we already like. The real challenge is liking those we don't. Deciding to like someone suddenly doesn't solve anything. That decision is purely rational. It doesn't touch the heart. If we don't like someone, it's difficult to reach their heart. The path may be to understand the person, their difficulties, where they come from, why they act in a certain way. Finally, we accept the person when we can dialogue with them, when we're operating at the level where something happens. An example of this is when a father is lecturing his son, but his words go in one ear and out the other. The father doesn't realize he's been saying the same things for years, with no results, even causing rebellion in the son. When we speak without listening, it's not dialogue, it's monologue. The saying goes, the word convinces, the example drags. The best way to educate a child isn't with sermons, but with examples. They'll observe the example and over time incorporate it into their own psychological structure. As I mentioned in a TV interview, a 45-year-old father conversing with a 15-year-old son, the father needs to understand that the son has never been 45 years old, while the 45-year-old father has already been 15. Parents need to level with the teenager to establish effective communication. I can only communicate with you if we address a topic that interests everyone. If you have other preferences, I need to take into account what interests you and start a conversation based on that, not just on my own interests. Just like in a store, I wouldn't organize the display window according to my taste, but according to the taste of the customers I want to attract. For example, I have a store where my sister-in-law, who is a decorator, did a sophisticated decoration, but I sell popular products. If someone who likes the sophisticated showcase enters, they may not find what they're looking for, and those who would be interested in my products may feel intimidated to enter. In this case, the sophisticated decoration may be hindering my business. In dialogue and communication, we must modify that saying many attribute to the Bible, which says, "Do unto others as you would have them do unto you." This works very well when it comes to something spiritual, but when it comes to communication, the phrase is more appropriate like this: "Do unto others as others would have done unto them." For example, if I invited you to dinner at my house, I wouldn't serve you my favorite dish without first asking what you like. In dialogue, it's important to start by understanding what the other person wants to hear, not just transmitting what we desire. Do unto others as others would have done unto them. Let me tell you a story that exemplifies this. I met a businessman in Sao Paulo who told me about his twin brother. When he was 14, he had a falling out with the family and went to Sao Paulo, where he became a successful businessman. 25 years later, he decided to bring his brother to meet him. He organized a party at a pizzeria because he loved pizza. However, his brother started feeling sick upon entering the pizzeria because he hated pizza. He tried to please his brother in the way he thought logical, but forgot to consider his brother's preferences. This shows how it happens among us. It always happens like this. I want to show you what I think, but I don't care what you'll think. Isn't it true? Think about it. Nature gave us ears on the same level, so what enters one ear exits the other. Then the dialogue becomes a monologue because there's no response. To have a dialogue, first, I need to have a strong message. You'll only keep listening to me if you like what I say. I need to have something interesting to transmit to you. Second, we need to talk figuratively. How did Jesus teach? He told stories. How am I going to teach something to someone who has never left the place where they are? How did Jesus teach about spiritual things to those on earth? He used metaphors, told parables. When he told a story, you couldn't disagree with it because he was conveying an idea through the story. Pay attention to this important story. Once, there was an important ship full of gold, and suddenly the engine stopped. The owner of the ship called the best mechanic in the region. He worked all day but couldn't fix it. Then they called the best engineer in the country. He worked 2 days but still couldn't fix it. Finally, they brought in the one who built the ship's engine, even if it was far away. He flew to the ship by helicopter, listened to the noises, touched the pipes, and found a valve with a piece of red thread. He asked if they had a hammer, and they answered yes, so he gave it a blow, and the engine started working perfectly again. The 3 workers who worked to fix the ship sent their invoices. The first, who worked for a day, charged $100. The second, who worked for 2 days, charged $400, $200 a day. He was more experienced than the first. And the third worker, who fixed the engine with a simple blow, sent an invoice for $10,000. The owner of the ship agreed to pay, but with one condition. He wanted to know how the third worker justified charging so much. So the third worker explained, to give a hammer blow to a screw is $1, and to know which screw to hit costs $9,999. It's not for the hammer blow, but for the knowledge. Now imagine we're having lunch, and I tell you this story. If you understand the essence, you'll see how it applies. Later in your office, you think about hiring me as a consultant and ask what my fee would be. If I give a high price and you say it's expensive, you'll realize that I'm charging for the experience, not just for the service. I prepared your mind to understand my point of view through the story, using a metaphor. Those who know how to dialogue make use of metaphors. Politicians who win elections are good storytellers, as are priests who preach sermons that everyone appreciates. When you tell a story, the critical mind calms down. You convey the story along with the message you want to convey, and that message fits into the listener's mind. Another important aspect of dialogue is using appropriate language. For example, if you're a doctor and start using complicated medical terms that only you understand, and then your patient goes home and their family asks, "What did the doctor say?" And the patient will say, "I don't know, I didn't understand anything he said." You need to admit that you failed to communicate. An intelligent doctor should use language that the patient understands. Similarly, if you're facing a legal problem and visit a lawyer who uses complex legal jargon that you don't understand, you get lost. It's like talking to the wind. It's crucial to speak the language of your interlocutor when dialoguing with someone. It's not time to impress with difficult vocabulary. Dialogue should be accessible to intelligent people without requiring intellectual sophistication to understand. Use technical terminology only when speaking with someone who understands it. Another important point is perception. What you're trying to convey may not be exactly what the other person is understanding. If you consider yourself a good salesperson, then your sales should reflect that. If you're not selling well, excuse me, but your sales approach may be wrong. Maybe your language isn't appropriate, your message isn't strong enough, or maybe you're not using the power of metaphors and stories. Recently, a client came here, and I said to him, "You may be talking to the current customer, but you're really talking about what you did with last week's customer, while the present customer listens." This is a metaphorical strategy that invites the customer to engage with your ideas, like a father who dialogues with his son. At the end of the dialogue, the son feels encouraged to try what the father is suggesting. It's an invitation that life offers you. Now, I need you to understand one more thing. If you understand this, you will be very successful in life, so pay close attention. We are judged by three things: our appearance, by what we say and how we say it, and what we say. In the part of how we say what we say, the model I'm discussing with you comes in. There's a level where nothing happens, where you're just wasting time, where communication is superficial. For example, when we order sparkling water and receive still water because the order wasn't understood correctly. Many people are stagnant in life because they can't communicate effectively. Communication is essential nowadays. If you remove communication from the world collapses because information only has value when it's shared among minds, and that happens through dialogue. I mentioned that life is like a cake with several ingredients. We started talking about self-esteem and communication. Now let's address some of the other aspects a bit. An important message for you, young person watching us, and for young people of all ages: youth is a choice. I may be 65 years old, but I maintain an energy as if I were an 18-year-old. I'm always looking forward, thinking about what I can still accomplish in life. When I maintain this focus, my body doesn't age. It remains full of energy. Not setting goals is a mistake. Do you know the concept of an hourglass? It has the sand that hasn't fallen yet, the future, the sand that's falling, the present, and the sand that has already fallen, the past. The sand that hasn't fallen yet is the future. The one that's falling is the present. And the one that has already fallen is the past. Let's focus a bit on the present. Do you know why it's called the present? Because it's a gift from God. No matter where you are, it's always here and now. Have you noticed that life is an eternal here and now? It's in this moment that you live. If you can't be present, it's like a cat crossing a hot tin roof, only feeling the heat. Many people are like that, dominated by technology, by the clock, by the ringing cell phone. They don't live in the moment and then complain about getting sick, tired, having trouble sleeping, and being unable to focus on something simple, like reading a book. Let's go back to our discussion about the hourglass. The sand that hasn't fallen yet is the future, the one falling is the present, and the one that has already fallen is the past. Have you heard that the past shapes the present and the future? That's true. However, Einstein proved the non-linearity of time, meaning time doesn't follow a straight line. I'll show you now that the future also influences the present, and the present can even recreate the past. Imagine you book a trip around the world for a month from now, and let's say today is Sunday. I guarantee you, Monday already becomes more interesting. You have 30 days until your trip, but you already feel happy in the present just by knowing you're going to travel. See how the future shapes the present. Have you heard the saying that goes, often the anticipation of the party is better than the party itself? Remember that Christmas dinner you prepared so carefully, but it was ruined by an argument between your in-laws. The anticipation of the dinner was better than the dinner itself. Sometimes the anticipation is more exciting than the event itself. So, if you have goals for the future, young ones, please listen to me. Your present becomes more interesting. If you have no prospects for the future, then you're on the path to ruins, like many addicts I've met during my life. They've lost sight of tomorrow, thinking only of today. Those who live only in the present do not progress. These addicts use drugs and only care about satisfying their desires today, without even thinking that these drugs will cause harm to their health tomorrow. I hope you understand that the future shapes the present. I'll prove to you now that the present can also recreate the past. Once, an elderly lady, around 70 years old, came to me. She was going through a divorce and heard that through my knowledge, I could strengthen her emotionally. She shared her story with me. Married for over 25 years, she and her husband decided not to have children. They had a routine where they spent the week traveling for work and gathered on weekends at a farm they owned near Sao Paulo. However, a tragic event occurred when the lady's aunt, who raised her and came to visit her in Brazil, suddenly passed away at the farm. Since then, she couldn't visit the farm anymore, while her husband insisted on maintaining the tradition of visiting the farm every week. This was causing a rift between them and consequently leading to divorce. I asked the lady why she didn't want to visit the farm anymore. She explained it was because of her aunt's death. I suggested a new perspective. Perhaps the aunt chose to die at the farm as a gift to her, to show her affection. I began to dialogue with the lady, conveying this different interpretation of the situation. She was attentive, albeit eager to leave. In the end, she returned to the farm and has been married to her husband ever since. I didn't change the fact that the aunt died at the farm, but I changed the way the lady interpreted that event. We cannot change anyone's past, but it's important to understand that everything that has happened in our lives has served a purpose, perhaps spiritual, that has brought us to this moment. Our future is an open possibility, and it's up to us to decide what it will be. We are the only animals on the planet with the ability to think about the future. I suggest we focus on the future, as that's where we'll spend the rest of our lives. If we cling to resentment from the past, we limit our future. Perhaps someone hurt you in the past, and you still haven't forgiven that person. And forgiving is not just an act of love, but also of intelligence. Those who do not forgive are harming themselves. Not forgiving is like holding a hot coal in your hand and waiting for the other person to get burned. By forgiving our parents or whoever it may be, we are releasing a burden from our shoulders and making room for a more promising future. I want to finish by telling a story. Once, a writer who lived by the seaside met a young man who was throwing starfish back into the ocean. The writer questioned the effectiveness of it. As there were many starfish on the beach, he said, "With so many starfish here, and you only managed to throw one or two back into the sea, do you think that will make a difference?" The young man picked up another starfish, threw it into the sea and replied, "It made a difference to this one," picked up another one, and said again, "It made a difference to this one." I want to tell you, this video may not be able to help everyone, but if it can make a difference in one person's life, it's already worth it to me. If it made a difference to you, comment like this: "It made a difference to me." I don't know how you're going to use everything you heard here today, but remember, all is worthwhile when the soul is not small. I hope new paths open up for you, and may God always be by your side, illuminating your way. Now there are 2 videos full of wisdom appearing on your screen. Click on them and go watch it now.